When you think about the best point guards from the early 2000s, names like Allen Iverson, Jason Kidd, and Gary Payton usually lead the conversation. However, one of the most amazing players from that era is somehow completely overlooked: Steve Francis. He was a three-time NBA All-Star with career averages of 18.1 points, 5.6 rebounds, and 6.0 assists over 9 seasons. Those are serious numbers. Yet today, you'll barely hear his name mentioned in debates or highlight reels. And that's a shame, because Steve Francis wasn't just talented. His entire life story is something out of a movie. Get ready for a brilliant journey with Steve. This video is packed with incredible moments you won't want to miss. Before you dive into the next adventure, make sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss a single moment. Steve Francis's journey to the league is nothing short of unreal. Born in Tacoma Park, Maryland, his childhood was rough in every sense. The nickname Wink made him sound like a carefree kid, but the truth was far from that. His father was locked up for 20 years on a federal bank robbery charge. Then, in 1995, Steve's world shattered when his mother, Brenda, passed away from cancer. He was just a teenager. That loss hit hard, so hard that he completely gave up on basketball. For a time, it looked like his story was over before it even began. The streets became his reality. By the age of 10, Steve was already working for drug dealers. A few years later, he was selling crack during one of the deadliest periods of the American crack epidemic. His family lived on food stamps, packed into an apartment with 18 people. And get this, despite being NBA caliber, he only played 2 high school basketball games, bouncing between 6 different schools. While most future pros were lighting up AAU tournaments, Steve was just trying to survive. Francis's comeback started quietly at San Jacinto College. A coach spotted him at an AAU game, saw the potential, and gave him a shot. Steve got his GED, worked like crazy, and turned heads at the junior college level. Then came the turning point. The University of Maryland offered him a scholarship. What followed wasn't just a good season, it was historic. In the 1998-99 season, Steve Francis transformed Maryland basketball in just 1 year. He averaged 17 points, 4.5 assists, 4.5 rebounds, and 2.8 steals per game. The team finished with a 28-6 record and made it to the Sweet 16. He wasn't just producing stats, he was leading a culture shift. That one season earned him first-team All-ACC honors and a spot as a second-team All-American. And here's the wildest part. He's the only player in Maryland history to have his jersey retired after just 1 season. That's how much he meant to the program. What Steve Francis did at Maryland can't be overstated. He didn't just play well, he put the school back on the national map. It was the perfect storm, and it set the stage for one of the most explosive arrivals the NBA has ever seen. When the Vancouver Grizzlies picked Steve Francis second overall in the 1999 NBA draft, it should have been a celebration. Instead, it turned into drama. Francis didn't want to play for Vancouver, and the Grizzlies wasted no time flipping him to Houston. That trade ended up being a blessing for the Rockets, because what they got was a player who didn't fit any traditional scouting model. Francis barely had experience in organized basketball, yet his talent was unreal. Houston took a gamble, and it paid off immediately. In his rookie year, Steve Francis was amazing. He split Rookie of the Year honors with Elton Brand, but make no mistake, he looked like a future face of the league. The nickname Stevie Franchise wasn't just for show. That's exactly what he became for Houston, their franchise guy. He gave them an identity after the Hakeem Olajuwon era had faded. When he dropped a career-high 44 points on the Lakers in 2003, it wasn't just a big scoring night, it was a statement. He wasn't afraid of the moment, no matter who was on the other side. But what made Francis unforgettable to fans was how he played. That signature crossover that left defenders frozen, the way he exploded to the rim, the dunks that made crowds lose their minds. You knew when Steve Francis had the ball, something wild was about to happen. Even at the 2000 Slam Dunk Contest, he stole the show, finishing runner-up only to Vince Carter during one of the most iconic contests in NBA history. That night said it all. Francis belonged on the biggest stage. So why don't we talk about Steve Francis anymore? Why has he become the forgotten superstar? It comes down to timing and the cruel way history works in sports. Francis played in an era stacked with legendary guards. While he was putting up great numbers, Allen Iverson was winning MVPs. Jason Kidd was dragging teams to the finals. Tracy McGrady was putting up ridiculous scoring nights. Meanwhile, Francis was giving everything to a Rockets team that never got over the hump. From 2002 to 2004, he made 3 straight All-Star teams. That was his prime, and he was killing it. But the Rockets just couldn't break through. They kept getting knocked out in the first round. And in the NBA, no playoff success means no spotlight. No spotlight means people forget. But if you look at the numbers, Steve Francis was doing work. He averaged 18.1 points, 6 assists, and 5.6 rebounds over his career. That's elite company for any guard. And during his best years, he was regularly dropping over 20 points and 6 assists a night, all while hitting threes at a solid clip and carrying a franchise on his back. When Yao Ming landed in Houston in 2002, fans thought they were about to witness something special, and they were right, at least for a moment. Pairing Steve Francis with the 7'6" Chinese phenom felt like the perfect storm. Francis, with his lightning-quick first step and sharp playmaking instincts, created endless looks for Yao down low. Pick and rolls, drive and kicks, post entries, Francis made it all happen. But things didn't quite go as planned. Injuries piled up, the roster around them lacked depth, and before they could truly take off, the partnership fizzled. It's one of those NBA what could have been stories that still stings, because when you watch them together, it felt like something legendary was on the verge. Steve Francis was more than stats. He wasn't just a 20-point scorer or a flashy passer. He meant something. His game had a swagger that spoke to a generation. The crossover, unforgettable. The fearless drives, pure adrenaline. Francis attacked the rim like every bucket had something to prove, and fans felt that. And let's not forget the timing. The early 2000s were a transition period in the NBA. The slow, grinded-out style of the 90s was fading. The league was evolving, more athletic, more explosive. And Francis, he was already playing like the future. A scoring guard with handles, hops, and vision. Today's stars, they're walking on a path he helped carve. After his run with the Rockets, Steve Francis bounced around the league, with short stints with the Magic and the Knicks. Injuries piled up, and his NBA career began to fade, but that didn't mean he was done with basketball. Not even close. Francis took his game to China, suiting up for the Beijing Ducks in the Chinese Basketball Association. It wasn't about the spotlight anymore. It wasn't about fame or stats. It was about the game, pure and simple. While other former NBA stars looked down on overseas leagues, Francis didn't care. He embraced it. The culture, the competition, the challenge. Steve Francis's story isn't just about flashy crossovers or high-flying dunks. It's about grit. It's about the heart. Here's a guy who came from nothing, selling drugs just to survive, and turned that life into an NBA Rookie of the Year title and 3 All-Star appearances. That kind of transformation? It's almost unreal. And yet, somehow, his name barely comes up when we talk about that era of basketball. No documentaries, no highlight reels going viral, just silence. Meanwhile, the guys he went toe-to-toe with are sitting comfortably in the Hall of Fame conversation. It's wild. And if you love deep dives like this, into the forgotten legends, the underappreciated icons, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. We've got more stories coming that deserve to be told. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to show some love for Stevie Franchise.